Both Bitcoin and the ES rejected the resistance levels we were watching in my last weekly outlook video and are now approaching important areas to watch. Bitcoin has rejected much more significantly than the ES, which could be a big problem if the ES starts to roll over. Let's dig in and see if we're ready for new highs or there's still more pain to come. So in my last weekly outlook video, I mentioned that I'd like to see a break of the trend line and then a high time frame close above that 4160 level for me to become more bullish. We got that move up, but we rejected immediately and didn't hold that key 4160 level we were watching. But we're still super close to that level and we did break that trend line. So let's take a look at the macro to see where we might be. Now, when I look at the price action, I can't help but see this whole move off the low as a bunch of overlapping chop, which again leads me to believe that this whole structure is corrective. So Toots gave you guys a different count last week that he's falling for his bearish case, but I wanted to give you guys this one. Currently, it's a running flat with a potential diag for C where we still have a little upside left. Now, last week I was following this move down from the high as a potential multi-zigzag, but I actually think it's an expanding diag for A, and we'll get another leg lower before we take out the highs. So something like this. I can be wrong though. This immediate move down looks three-waved on higher time frames. If the low is in, ultimately, I do not want to see it break that 4480 level, which is a bit high from here, but it is the one-to-one of wave 3, which invalidates that diag. In closer terms, I don't want to see a high time frame close like the weekly above that 4300 level. Now let's take a look at Bitcoin. Before we do, if you like the content so far, make sure to subscribe and hit the like button because we do weekly outlook for Bitcoin and the SP 500 every Monday to help you navigate the week ahead, as well as midweek videos on different traditional and crypto assets. In my last weekly outlook, I mentioned Bitcoin was in a heavy resistance area and are likely to see a pullback, but to be careful around FOMC because we'll likely see some Darth Maul candles before we do. I mentioned that I expected a pullback into that 20K level, and that's pretty much what has happened so far. We got that Darth Maul around FOMC and then sold off, and now we're down at the 21.4K level. So I still think we're going to get a move down into that sub 21K level before we get a bounce, and that's where we need to start paying attention because this move down hasn't been the easiest to count. If we come up in three waves, we're going to want to get behind it to target new lows. If we come up impulsively, then we want to get behind a retrace. That way we can target new highs. And yes, I know that sounds obvious and easier said than done, but in my members only weekly outlook, it's a 20-minute breakdown of Bitcoin, the ES, the DXY, and our XRP trade. And I discussed in detail exactly what we'll be looking for and how we can trade it both ways to take advantage. So long story short is that you want to look for that C or 3 trade you always hear us talking about, and that's the bread and butter when it comes to trading Elliott Wave. But if you want to learn more about trading the C or 3, check out my last XRP video. The trade is just approaching our juicy entry level.